I realised writing helped me quite early on, actually. When I was very ill, when I was younger, very severe depression and panic disorder, I started to write down what I was feeling. A lot of what I wrote wasn't very clear or legible, but it helped to take something that was very internal and put it out on the page. It made the problem seemed more manageable, taking it from something that was very internal and complex and articulating it into this shared thing called language was a enlightening and yes, therapeutic process. Well, I've been writing about my own experiences of mental health for 6 years or so now, since my book Reasons to Stay Alive, and I first realised that I could possibly have an impact on other people with my own experiences of mental health and writing about it when a friend, just before I wrote Reasons to Stay Alive, saw a blog post I did called Reasons to Stay Alive, which was then going to be a title of my book. And she said, oh, you should write a book about this. It helped me, that blog post, and it'll probably help other people. So why don't you extend it into a book? So that was what I was trying to do in Reasons to Stay Alive. And the fact that that became my biggest book, it gave me the confidence to think, oh, maybe I do have something to say on this issue. And maybe it does help other people. Comfort and comforting words, for me, it can mean different things. One thing I'm not trying to do is to follow the line of toxic positivity and saying, oh, everything's going to be great and all you have to do is pull yourself together and put a smile on your face and all that. In a way, comfort for me is the opposite of that. It's about saying whatever you are feeling, whatever is going on outside or inside your head, you can actually get through and you can actually accept what you're feeling. You don't have to deny the sadness or the fury or the anxieties and fears you have inside you. You can see it part of a whole. And comfort for me is about understanding how these things connect, how joy connects to sadness and how despair connects to hope, and seeing it as part of a whole. And I think we have a tendency sometimes, a pressure to be these perfectionists, these emotional perfectionists, where any negative feeling is something to be resisted, and it actually ends up growing the negative feeling. So this is a bit more of a approach of acceptance. There's a great quote from the poet William Blake that says, joy and woe are woven fine. And I think there's a comfort in understanding that and realizing that even in our darkest moments, we can find a little tiny light that shines and leads us to somewhere better. I am very open about depression, and people often ask me, is it hard to talk about depression? Isn't it not making you more depressed? And the answer is a very resounding no. If anything, the opposite. When you've gone through any kind of extreme illness or trauma or event in your life, writing about it, well, in my own experience, it doesn't make it any worse. Talking about it doesn't make it any worse. If anything, it makes it better because it opens it out. It shines a light on it. You're not going back to something that's there all the time anyway. If you've been through something very profound in your life, it's not a case of going back or reliving, because it's kind of been a part of you for all that time. So if anything, it's a release, it's a letting go more than a bringing towards, if that makes sense. I think it is very difficult and very hard, and it can be extremely hard to be there for someone with a serious mental health condition, with serious depression or serious anxiety or serious OCD or any kind of condition, especially when it's invisible often and hard to understand, and people don't necessarily know what to say and they're worried about saying the wrong thing. That's something I hear a lot, that people are worried about what to say to somebody. And I think, people do have to think about what we say, but I think the most dangerous thing at all is sometimes silence, is retreating from that person and saying, well, I don't want to do the wrong thing, so I will do nothing. That would have certainly been very difficult and dangerous for me in my situation. So yeah, I would advise against that. And I'd say actually, sometimes it's better to say slightly wrong thing, but be there and be listening and be trying to be empathetic than to say nothing at all. So I think it's more about why you're trying to help someone than what precisely you should say. And often it's about knowing that you don't necessarily have all the answers, and you don't have to have all the answers. It's about being by someone's side. It's not about sitting opposite them, being a therapist or a doctor and talking down to them. It's about sort of being there and just saying that you'd be there, and asking what they need and learning together about what's going on. Well, the great thing about the future is always uncertain, and in the West we're often conditioned to see uncertainty as this scary thing that we need to sort of control, and we need to sort of have a calendar mapped out of our lives, and actually that leads to more stress, that pressure to be perfect and in control. So the future is this great exercise in embracing uncertainty. Uncertainty is always going to be there. It's always a natural condition of life. So when I look at the future, I see uncertainty. Whereas once, when I was in depression, I saw the opposite. I saw certainty. And that wasn't a good certainty. I was certain everything was going to go wrong in my life. I was convinced I was going to die at a very young age. I never thought I would live to see my 25th birthday, and here I am at 45. And yeah, once uncertainty broke in, so did hope. Because if you think about uncertainty, it's not just a source of anxiety. Uncertainty is a source of hope. We need uncertainty to have hope. So we might have something terrible coming up, some work appointment or hospital appointment we don't like, but there's still uncertainty there about how we will respond to that thing, what that thing might lead to. I certainly know from my own life that some of the very worst things that have happened to me have led to the great things happening further down the line. So that uncertainty, that future is always worth staying around for, because there's always potential for good things to happen.